Especially early on in this bout. Here we go, 3 minutes on the clock, and we are set. Two touch gloves in the center of the cage.
They do touch gloves this time. That's kind of nice. Andrew Dean has won his last two fights by knockout, by punches.
There you go. Starts with a solid left. Connecting on Johnson, backs him up a tad, and now the aggressor, definitely Dean, right out of the gate. He pushes Johnson up against the cage, and now to the center of the cage. The two go down to the ground.
I really like the position. If you're going to push it and not fall into his guard, he's in a half guard right there. Laces up the leg. Try to get that lockdown position from the bottom, it looks like, as Sean tries to pass his guard there.
Surprise you a little bit that this one goes down to the ground as early as it did?
No, not at all. I mean, like I said, both of these guys come from well-rounded gyms and coaches. They'll be prepared to go anywhere. Great knees, very effective in the clinch there, as Dean has his arms locked up, as Sean's arms locked up.
Both fighters have been effective to the body, a little bit of a different pace than what we've seen in the opening fight tonight. 1 minute gone by in this one. Both fighters have had their moments. Dean versus Johnson.
Spending a lot of time on the cage here, going to work here. This is where you're really going to test your cardio. That cage work, it's not very active, but it's grinding. And Dean is fishing for that single leg now.
Dean trying to take it down to the ground. I'm going to talk about the balance from Sean Johnson early on in this one, huh?
He's just got to run the pipe there, you know. All he has to do, it switches to a double leg, beautiful takedown. Beautiful
takedown by Andrew Dean. Dean now on top of Johnson.
Full mount. He's trying to set up the triangle from the top. He's trying to go set up that triangle from the top. Oh, he rolled right into it. He rolled the wrong way right into it. Let's see how he defends here.
Trouble right now. Here's Sean Johnson, 2 minutes gone by.
Sean Johnson's doing some of the right things, defending, keeping that left arm off to the side can help not lock up that triangle. What Will Dean needs to do is really squeeze his knees together here and create a little bit of an angle. That's what he's using that hook on that leg for right there. That is cinching it up tight. If he would just focus on squeezing his knees together, I think he'd get the tap here pretty quick. But Sean is staying very composed right now in this triangle attempt.
About 30 seconds to go here in round number one.
He's got the arm across now. That's trouble. That is trouble. He's got that cinched up tight. I think we're going to get a tap here real soon. That is in tight.
Johnson doing everything he can. He's got about 20 seconds he's got to survive to get into round number two. But the cage control has definitely been in favor of Andrew Dean pretty much throughout as we get down to the final 15 seconds.
He's trying to squeeze out. That's going to be tough. Andrew Dean could switch to an armbar right here too. He's just got to squeeze his knees together. If he could just squeeze his knees together, he could get it. Gave him the thumbs up. He's good. He's in it.
And that'll take us to the end of round number one. There's no question who controlled the first 3 minutes, but are you impressed by the fact that Sean Johnson managed to get out of that round and live to see number two?
Absolutely. A couple little technical things. And I think William Dean, he just shook his head. I think he knows that he had it and he missed an opportunity to finish the fight right there. Sean Johnson did a lot of the right things. Mainly, everybody likes to see when they're in the triangle, pick them up and slam them, right? Huge mistake, because if you don't break that lock, you're just cinching it in tighter. Now, Sean stayed composed the whole time. I watched his breathing. He just stayed composed, calm. He was in that position, did a lot of the right things. Now, Andrew Dean, I keep wanting to call his brother Will. Andrew Dean, you know, he had the position in a spot where he could have finished the fight, could have closed the show, didn't. It's going to be interesting does that mess with his head or can he move forward past that? Sometimes fighters get stuck in their own head.
We definitely have the first sight of blood of this fight. Sean Johnson bleeding from the nose as we get set for round number two. This bout again brought to you by Mountain Supply. Bout number 2 of 9 from the Maverick Center tonight. You could call the amateur bouts where you have nothing to lose, everything to gain in the form of experience. I think you could chalk that first round up to experience for both fighters.
Absolutely. And, you know, they both had their moments, but, you know, Andrew Dean definitely won that round. He was close to finishing the fight. And look at their punches don't have the same snap to them. A little bit slower. Off those exchanges, that comes from that clinch work right there.
Once again, Dean goes to the body up against the cage and now backing off just a tad. He's been able to control the tempo. Corner calling for more body shots. You know, both fighters had success to the body early on in this one, and that can change the tempo of a fight in a hurry.
Absolutely, it can. You know, that, again, the cardio, and they're both, you can see it. They're moving a little bit slower. And it's also interesting that second round, you kind of get the adrenaline wears off a little bit while you're in the corner. Your coaches are talking to you. That adrenaline wears off. You get a little bit of a dump there. It's something that you have to learn how to fight through a little bit and be prepared for.
Head movement, something that you start to notice, is that time a solid left coming from Dean as he lands with Johnson now up against the cage. A solid uppercut, and now a solid knee. And that's been the go-to for Sean Johnson in this fight. I think probably the most effective move has been the knee.
Yeah, for him, those are some good moments for him. He's, Andrew Dean, Sean's he's fighting, man. He's trying to fight through it, but he is tired. He's gassed at this point. I don't know if it was the triangle, the clinch, or a little bit of an adrenaline dump and excitement, but I think he's about to get taken down right here. Now, beautiful step back. Oh, reversed it, gets on top. Sean Johnson, very nice.
About a minute and a half, midway through the second round, and again, so far, the cage has been controlled by Andrew Dean, but as you alluded to just a moment ago, a great defensive tactic by Sean Johnson to get on top.
When you are going for those single legs and those fall backwards, it's something you have to be mindful of. If as they're going down, they get their hips behind them. You know, they can come out on top if you get a little sloppy with your technique. Now, Sean needs to try and pass that guard. He went from half guard to the other leg in the half guard. If he could just posture up and start landing some strikes, get some offense going, or pass the guard right here to slip that left knee through, advance his position, because he's kind of just holding on right here.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier said than done based on the fact that we know Sean Johnson is dealing with fatigue at the moment. There's no question.
Yeah, he is feeling from fatigue, but this is kind of where your second win can come in.
Well, there you go. Right as you call for the second win, we see a couple of solid strikes from Johnson.
He really needs to just posture up and start punching a little bit more. I think he's a little more comfortable in the closer space, but right here, this is great work right here. Abbott allowed Andrew Dean to get his guard back.
We're down to the final 15 seconds of this round, Zach. It's been almost a chess match based off of what we saw in the first round. Sean Johnson definitely fighting back. He's had control of the cage, no doubt, over the course of this second round.
Absolutely. It's for a guy that's in his second amateur fight, did the necessary things that he needed to I believe, win that round. Not that my opinion matters. It's the judge's opinion that matters. My opinion, he did what he needed to do, did the damage from the top, stayed on top, settled into a nice position. For me, 1-1 going into this third round.
That's just what I was going to ask you. How would you score that? And again, we're looking at cage control, right? There was no question that Andrew Dean controlled it over the first 3 minutes. The last 3 minutes, boy, that's a gut check for Sean Johnson, and he passes with flying colors.
Yeah. Now again, resettle in. You got Joe Haro in the corner and Dana Ristabal in Andrew Dean's corner giving him some advice. Both of them have got to be going, one, we have to win this round, and two, let's get a finish if we can get this out of here and not leave it in the hands of the judges. Because you never know. You just never know.
Now, when you go into round 3, after 2 rounds, it's been a fairly even fight.
Look at Joe Haro taking off his shirt to wipe off some blood and some spilled ice. That's a good corner right there, Joe Haro. My guy.
We're set to go for the final 3 minutes of this 3x3. Andrew Dean and Sean Johnson. Zach Partridge and his unofficial scorecard has this even 1 round apiece. Let's see how the final 3 minutes plays out.
Right back to the clinch work, right back to the cage, right back to the knees for Sean Johnson.
Which has been so effective for him. Now at this particular time, if you're Sean Johnson, what are you trying to establish up against the cage, knowing that you got about, 2 minutes and 30 seconds to figure something out here?
This isn't where you don't want your back on the cage. You want to get his back on the cage where you can get some of your offense off and break if you want to. Andrew Dean keeps going for kind of these double overhook throws I see a little bit. Hasn't had much success with them. I'd like to see him drop down to a double leg or a single leg again if that's where he wants to take this fight. Sean's got the double leg if he can't finish it. He's just not enough gas left. He's chasing that single leg. Gets the triple.
You mentioned trying to go down for the double leg, instead caught with a single, and now the two back up against the cage. We're 1 minute into this final third round of what has been a really interesting match, almost a chess match between Andrew Dean and Sean Johnson.
They're both doing a fantastic job. They're both obviously very tired. They're just looking for an answer to get an edge up on this round. But they're both, man, they're tired. You can see it. And they've been putting a lot of output and a lot of, a lot of action in the first 2.5 rounds here.
Well, and as you alluded to, up against the cage, no, you're not trying to buy time. That's excruciating when you're up against the cage.
You can rest there, but you can work there too. And Sean was trying to work as Dave separates him and gets him off the cage.
Dave Zelyestedt again.
Just check her up.
The in-cage official and the mouthpiece comes
Mouthpiece out.
flying out.
I mean, that's a telltale sign of exhaustion there, right? Can't even bite down on the mouthpiece to keep it in. They just keep running each other in. Big takedown, ends on top for Shawn Johnson. Dean needs to go for a sweep here or a submission off his back.
Down to the final minute.
Beautiful transition to get on top.
And now the question is, can Johnson survive for the final 45 seconds?
If you're Andrew Dean, you got to work to his back, try and work on your hooks, or if he's trying to set up an anaconda choke or something, going for a guillotine. He's going for that guillotine. Sean is defending it very well, fighting the hands there.
That's what I was going to ask you. How impressed are you with the defense of Shawn Johnson, especially this late in the fight, just trying to survive the final 30 seconds?
He's tired, but he's aware. He knows if Andrew Dean's locked his hands right there for that guillotine, the fight's over.
Down to the final 20 seconds.
They're both just trying to fight for position. Shawn Johnson, man, I'm glad I'm not a judge because this round is going to be hard to judge.
Very difficult. Final 10 seconds.
Good throw.
We hear the claps. Who controlled the cage more in the final 25 seconds of this bout? That may be what this comes down to. It will go to the hands of the judges. The third and final round in the books.
Great fight.
Zach, you had it 1-1.
Exhausted.
Both fighters lay down in the cage, completely exhausted. Shawn Johnson finds enough energy to stand up. Andrew Dean rolls over. I don't know how you judge this one. Again, as I mentioned, the final 30 seconds, who controlled the cage? That may be the determining factor. And my opinion, which doesn't mean a whole lot here, Andrew Dean did control the cage, I thought, over the final 30 seconds.
Over the 30 seconds, but it's you want to leave those lasting images for judges.
Judge Rich Montanez scores the fight 29-28. Stephen Farrer scores the fight 30-27. And Dennis McMahon scores the fight 29-28. Your winner by unanimous decision, fighting out of the red corner, Andrew Dean!
Andrew Dean victorious by unanimous decision. I don't have a problem with the scorecards, but it could have went either which way. 29-28 is the way I believe both of us saw it here at Cage Side.
Don't love the 30-27.
Okay.
It's the judges. Who knows? I do not have the
All right, here's your winner, Andrew Dean. Andrew, talk about that first round. You had that triangle pretty tight. What was his defense like on that?
He tried to stand me up, and I knew he was going to slam me, so I was hung on for dear life. Yeah.
Who would you like to thank that got you this victory tonight?
Mom, my dad, my wife, all my teammates at Agima, and my coach, Dane. Any hour or two by now.
Congratulations, Andrew. We hope to see you in the cage again. Your winner, Andrew Dean, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching Fierce Fighting Championship on YouTube. For more daily content, make sure to click that subscribe button as well as the bell so you don't miss any of our daily fights, podcast clips, highlights, as well as our full weekly podcast. If you want to tune into one of our live shows, go ahead and head over to fiercefightingchampionship.com.